Hello, Mati. The first thing I'm going to explain to you about art bichlal, and especially when you want to sculpt, you need to know what you want to sculpt. Plan ahead. That's the first step. First step is planning. Oh, so I know you wanted to make a figure, a person. The first part of planning is we need to think how the guy's going to look. So one concept to remember is you need to learn how to study things and look at the size of them and their relative size to how big you want to make it. So we're going to start with a guy about, I don't know, about 6 inches tall. We're going to make a big guy. But in any person, you need to know proportions. So proportions of a human are usually, an adult human, are usually, your body usually about 8 head lengths tall. 7.5 or 8, it depends on how you want to measure, but we're going to go with 8 because it's an easier number to remember. So if this is your head, then you could fit another head distance from here to from your chin to your chest in the middle, then from there to belly button, and from there to the area over here, and then so on and so forth, till it makes about 8 heads distance. And then going sideways, you have about 3 heads lengths for a man, and a woman it's a little less, but it's about the same. And you also remember the hands will be about 1, 2, 3, 4 head lengths long. So remembering that stuff, then we want to go and plan what our guy is going to look like. So first we're going to draw like the head. Right, and I know the main part of this lesson is sculpting, but you need to do a little bit of drawing. And it doesn't matter if your drawing is good or not. It could be like a horrible drawing. That doesn't matter. I think you're going to make a great drawing. But the point is, you shouldn't get stuck on, oh no, my drawing isn't that good. The point of the drawing is just to conceptualize and to think in your head what you want it to look like. So let's say I'm going to make a guy who's going to be in a pose. I want him to have his arm sticking up. Make sure his arm is about the length of one. Right, it's like sort of like 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 4 head lengths long. So here we'll go draw that part of the arm. This will be like the elbow. Right, and then I'm going to have the rest of the arm going like this. And I have his hand. And I like drawing things in triangles. This is a trick that I like to use. You could use ovals or just circles if you want. I find triangles easier for me to visualize it. That's a trick that I use. So again, that's just working for me. If something works better for you, do that. Or you could use my method and just do triangles. So then I'm gonna do that, and then the body, I'm gonna make it more like a rectangle, just to make it simple. Right. This is not what the guy's gonna look at, but this is to simplify for me to think about. I'm gonna make another one of these triangles like that. Another one like that. Another one like that. See, this one is about half the length of this arm, so that like half of that would be this. And you could use a ruler if you want to make it look more accurate. But again, the point of this is just so that we have in our heads what we're going to do before we do it. It's always important to plan things out before you start sculpting. This way it'll make the sculpting process much easier. Now I have the thigh part of the leg, and I'll have the next part of the leg. And I'll do this, do that, and then the feet will also be reverse triangles, like that. And this is just my plan over here. This is my plan for the guy I'm going to make. He's not going to look exactly like this, but this is the pose I want to make. I want one arm going up like that, another arm going slightly up but then down, and the hand a bit twisted to the side. Then I want one leg going this way and that way, and then I want another leg going this way, bending at the knee, and then going that way. Alright, so now it's about where we get at the clay. You should have a big block of clay with you. I think that's what your parents got you. Here is about, I'd say this is about the size, if you smush this up, it's about like the size of an egg, about the size of an egg. So I have this my own clay. So grab off a piece of your clay about the size of an egg. I'll wait for you. Get a piece about the size of an egg, and then, like, you just gotta get used to it. Start smushing around. One thing to remember about this is you should have sculpey clay. Sculpey clay is a polymer clay. Polymer clays are not good to eat. Unlike regular clay, where if you eat some of it, it's not really a big problem. Polymer clays are dangerous to eat. They're not fatally dangerous, like you're not going to die, but you should wash your hands after using clay before eating anything. All right, so now I have my pizza, and I like to mush it up a little bit. Mush it up till it feels sort of like dough in a way, right? And you get it's never going to be as soft as Play-Doh, but it should be pretty soft. Use two hands. I'm just used to using one hand, the other hand's holding the camera. But you use two hands, whatever it takes. And then sometimes I also like to take it and roll it like that, right? Roll it back and forth, make it into like a tube, and then you can just like smush it down again, and then roll it again. Get it real worked up. Giving a little bit of body heat will make it easier. And now once I have it very malleable and worked up to a point where it's very like flimsy like that, I want to roll it out into a long like snake sort of shape. And snake sort of. So now at this point, I really want you to follow along and do things exactly like I do them. Right? There's no right and wrong way to do art. You find what best works for you. But if you want to try my method, which has been working for me for a while, this is how I do it. You got to follow along this part. Okay, I got it out till about, if you started with an egg shape right now, it should be about, that's about like 10 inches, about maybe 11 inches. It doesn't need to be exact with that. Now you take your tool, whichever tool you want, pick the one that you like best. I like this one, it has this weird curve, but you might, I think better for you if you start with, you should have one in your kit that's just a straight knife, a straight wooden knife, without the curve in the edge. It should be straight and one side be sharp and the other side flat. That's what you should have, one side sharp and the other side flat. Find that knife in your kit, take that out. What you're going to do is you're going to measure out, you can also use a ruler for this if you want, you can measure out like 1 inch sections. You take a ruler and measure out 1 inch sections, and you're going to cut those 1 inch sections in like so. So I'm just going to approximate this with my eyes. You could approximate it if you want, or you could use a ruler, whichever one feels better to you. So I'm going to cut like 1 inch sections starting here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not cutting that deep. I'm cutting like, if you see, I'm cutting only like a little bit. Cutting just a little bit. I'm not cutting all the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cuts. Then I have 1 section, 2, right? 1 section, 2 section, 3 section, 4 section, 5 section, 6 section, 7 section, 8 section. I have 8 sections. What I'm going to do with that is I'm going to take one of them off, and this will be the start of the head. I'm going to take one of these off to be an arm, another one to be another arm, one, I'll take the one at the end because it looks a bit long, it'll be to one leg. Sorry, the leg, the body. This will be the top part of the body. And then the last two will both be the legs. I know you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, I just showed you this picture. There's the top part of the body, there's the top part of the body, and then there's the bottom part of the body. Why aren't you making the bottom part of the body? The legs will smush themselves in to become the bottom part of the body. So now you should have like this shape like this. And to cut them out like that, right? Now I want you to cut some of these again. The ones that are going to be for the head, I want you to cut that. You smush a little more, or you roll it. I like best to roll it into a ball. If you just roll it around a circle, right? You roll it that, it'll be into a cylinder. If you roll it like this, it should turn into a circle. You roll it like this a while. You just push down very lightly, not pressing down that hard. I'm pressing down very lightly just to make sure it doesn't fly off the table, and then it turns into a ball. Just keep on rolling, turn into a ball. I got this ball for the head. And that seems a bit big compared to the rest of the body, so I'm gonna chop off like a third of it, about a third. Again, you can use a ruler if you want, or you just approximate. Take a third of that, and I'll add it to the body, and I'll keep on doing it. I'll keep on taking off pieces, and add it to the body. Now the arms, I'm gonna go and roll it again into a tube, and then I'm gonna cut that in half. Take the other one, do the same thing. Pull it out long, cut it in half. Now the legs. Legs, you sort of have them in half already. So I'm going to cut these in half, and cut this in half. And then these parts on the bottom, again, I'm going to roll these out. And not cut it in half, I'm going to cut a third off. Right, because your foot is smaller than the rest of your leg. Right, so we're not going to cut those in half, we're going to cut a third of that off. Right, so now we've got most of the shape of the body, like that. We're still not done. Now the next thing I'm going to tell you is going to sound sort of weird and stupid, but I just want you to, again, to use this to get to conceptualize the size of things. I want you to take the feet and roll them into balls. I know I just showed you that the feet are more like you draw them. I drew them more like triangles, but here we're going to use them as balls. It just makes things simpler for what I want to show you next. Again, we're going to roll next one into balls. I got those two. I take the legs. I'm going to sort of, again, also roll it into a ball. I'm sorry, this is disorienting. Probably making you a little bit nauseous looking at me rolling into a ball. Okay. Now I'm going to roll. Wait, sorry. Let's get into a ball. I got a ball, but I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to roll it just a little bit back and forth to make it sort of like an oval. Sort of oval shaped. Oh man, somebody's hair is gross. Okay. Still you can use it. And I'm going to stick that on top of the foot. And while I'm pushing, I'm going to push the foot down onto my work surface over here. This way it holds. Same thing with the other one. Roll it out, and just roll it back and forth like that, and squish the foot onto my work surface, and put that on there. Now these parts I'm going to make them to look like triangles a little bit. So we're going to make these like big pudgy, like fat triangles. I don't want them to be a sharp triangle. You can do that, you can make it sharp. I don't want it sharp. I intentionally don't want it sharp. I want them to look more like this. And then I'm going to take those and just smush them on top of the pieces we already have. Same thing with this one. I'm going to smush it into like a triangle. Doesn't need to be exact, mostly like a triangle. I'm going to take that and stick it on top over here. Now, I'm going to take these two and I'm going to connect them. And that will be like the bottom half of the torso. You can use your tool to do that. No, you can use your hands. I like using my hands. And now we've got these legs. Yeah, they look like big pudgy legs, but they still look sort of like legs. The reason I wanted you to do that whole thing of like cutting them, making like triangles and making circles, putting it so that you could see these look pudgy. They look sort of cartoonish. They don't look like a real person, and they don't look like they don't look anything real, but still they look like legs. Why is that? Why do these still look like legs? Right? Because they're clear. Unless someone's nebuch really fat, they're probably not looking exactly like this. They don't have legs that look exactly like this. Yet these look like legs. How do they still look like legs? The reason is because when you follow the rules of anatomy and you try to make something with the general shapes of the parts of our body, people recognize that, and that will look like what you want it to look like. It will give off the impression and the look of what you're trying to go for. And then you can keep on going like that. You can take the body, which doesn't really need much editing. So I take, oh my gosh, whose hair is this? Yes, we teach you about sculpting and how to avoid getting hair and stuff. Oh, that's gross. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to take that part and we're going to stick it on the top over here. And now you could just either take your finger or the tool you have, and you could smush these smush the leg up onto the torso. You're gonna smush the legs up onto the torso. Smush the legs up onto the torso, and you've got this. You got this body forming over there. Now I'm gonna do the same thing I do with the legs. Roll them into a ball, and then roll them into like a sort of egg cylinder shape. There's one. And I'm going to try to follow and make them like this guy that we drew before. Alright, I'll pose the legs afterwards. Sticking that out over there. And then I'm going to make I forgot to cut the hands. Oh, sorry, I didn't cut the hands. The reason is because the hands can be thinner than the feet. So what I like to do for the hands this is a trick that I use. Some people like to do the hands separate. And again, I'll measure a third out and just pinch the clay by where the third is, making a sort of hand, and that's good enough. You can make it look better afterwards. But because our hands are sticking out from our arms, and they get thicker a bit. But really, there's just that thin space where your wrist is that makes a difference. And most of your arm is the same until that point. You do that. Stick that on there. And the same thing with this side. See if we can get this to stick up properly. Same thing with this. We're going to pinch at the end to make that triangle, to make the wrist. I'm going to attach that over there. And then the head, I'm going to pop the head into a ball. And I put the head on. And there we go, we got our basic guy. So I want you, Monty, and whoever's at home watching this, you can make sure you don't put any like hair stuff in it. I want you to go and take your polymer clay. And it's best to do this with polymer clay because of some of the ways that I'm doing things. You can really use any clay. It's just easier with polymer clay. Oh, sorry, I forgot to pose the legs. Now we're gonna bend this out like that, and bend the other one forward. Yeah, and bend the body forward a little bit, and there you go. You got the basic form of a guy. I know you're thinking, oh my God, this guy looks like blobby and clumpy and stuff, and you're right. He does look blobby and clumpy, and he needs a lot of editing. And he needs a lot of work, but that will be for next lesson. Right now, I want you to try to recreate this using the methods that I just showed you. Try to make your own. Good luck, and I'm sure you're going to be successful. Keep trying.